So we have an item to address before the joint meeting, so I'm gonna call our meeting to order. Let's see, the first item on the agenda is public comment. Anybody here wish to make a comment about anything not on the agenda? No? Yes. Our first action item is a request to appoint Caleb McClure as a full-time police officer. Assume that's you.
It's me.
And Mike.
Good evening.
Chris, do you have any questions?
Yes,
Okay.
2 questions. It says you're under contract currently through August of 2026.
Correct.
When does that put us?
You want me to-
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I believe I only will owe about $500, but I can enter into a payment plan to pay that off, or pay that off in a lump sum. It's not a huge deal.
So what's that mean? You take care of something on their end and you come,
Yeah, so I can put in my notice, and then it's just me just ending the contract with my current employer's Exeter Police Department, New Hampshire. I just put my notice in, and then I just meet with the town to discuss how we're going to pay it off, but it's up to the chief to see if he wants to hold me to that contract or not. So it falls into my current chief's hands of what he wants to do with that.
what's the expected date you will be starting?
I want to start right away.
We talked about within a 2-week window.
Yeah.
Other question, I don't know if this applies. For police, don't certain town police have to live within a certain distance of town?
They did, yeah, 30 months. Or did that change? I can look at that.
I don't know.
I think it's 30. It increased. It used to be 15.
But it
It
increased. My question is this within the?
I can come, but do you have it there?
Might be.
I live 10 miles away.
Possible. Yeah, it's further.
Yeah.
Oh, you live in Groveland?
I live in Exeter right now, so it's only 25 minutes away.
Oh, I thought you said 2 minutes away.
No. Currently, my commute is 2 minutes away from my police department.
I see,
Yeah.
okay.
But it's 25 minutes, it's just straight down 95.
Okay, no point. There is a full-time police officer.
I'll second that, but I just wanna note that, anything above the normal, hiring, might be with me. The appointment is just to appoint as an officer, it doesn't dictate any employment terms.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Just make sure. Any further discussion? Right, all in favor? Aye. All right, welcome.
Congratulations.
Thank you, guys, I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Did they write down your vehicles?
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Stay here.
Finance Committee, call meeting to order.
Okay, you wanna take the lead on this, since this is your meeting?
Sure.
Okay.
First thing on the agenda is to approve the minutes from the previous meeting that we had on January 28th. Was there a chance to make a vote? Yeah, well, I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
All in favor? Yeah, nicely done.
Yeah.
Very good, Brian.
And I would note for tonight's meeting and for the joint meetings going forward, we have arranged for recording and televised. We have Adam Stone is on right now. He's our AV tech, so the meetings will be recorded and broadcast. And so in the normal course of things, our assistant town clerk Max Post does the board's minutes. So if you want to do your own minutes, that's fine, or you could wait till Max has a draft and then put them on your letterhead. So.
Okay, thanks. So we're moving into budget reviews.
Yep.
By department, it looks like, and while we're doing that, if there's an article, are we taking that up at the same time?
Only if it's listed. There's a couple of articles that the town clerk's been very involved with, including the proposed bylaw revisions as well as the fees bylaw, but those are not before you tonight. Those are still in review at a staff level and then would be referred to town council before they're brought for for a committee review, so, we intentionally left those two off the agenda tonight.
But if they're listed on there.
But if they're listed, those are the ones where,
Right.
yeah. And, some of those don't relate to departments we have tonight. For instance, Brian's here tonight for, the facilities articles. The DPW budget's not scheduled for another couple of meetings, but, we wanted to get some of the articles, checked off the list tonight if we can. Obviously, Chief Dwyer is here, also not for his operating budget, but for, the public safety, capital articles. And not capital article for patrol rifles. So what we normally do is start with the, departmental reviews. We did put, onto tonight's agenda an overall budget kind of review. I don't have any intent to re-present. I'm seeing Gary nodding gratefully, because that was a long presentation. But I did want to provide, just if there's questions, reactions, a lot of information was presented Thursday night for the first time. You hadn't received that ahead of time, so I don't know if you want to have that discussion now, or if you want to focus on the departmental budgets and articles first and then finish with that. But I did want to give some time tonight for members of the FinCom or the select board, and if you had kind of big picture questions, comments, things that you, when those issues come up down the road, that you want to make sure we're well prepared for. If you have those types of questions, we'd love to get into that tonight, but I do not want to preempt or inconvenience those department heads and staff who are here, so.
Yeah, unless someone,
I have one question.
Sure.
Did you have an opportunity to explain to department heads how the process has changed this year?
Not
And
yet,
how that
not yet.
approval will not actually occur until. the
Right,
very-
no, I haven't had, I started writing that up over the weekend and I didn't get it sent yet, but I
Okay.
will.
Thank you.
So maybe we just start each meeting saying that.
Right.
Yeah, I will be sending, I did get something written, I just didn't get it finalized.
Okay. I just don't want there to be any
Yeah.
confusion or frustration.
Yeah, for those of you who are present, typically, as you know, in the past cycles, the FinCom has voted its recommendations per department as they have gone. And what ends up happening is it narrows the field as they get later and later in the process. They've kind of taken certain things out of play. And it ends up, especially in a budget year where there's gonna be an intent to offset increases with decreases to kind of maintain a bottom line. The discussion Thursday was that the FinCom was gonna wait till late in the budget process to recommend the whole budget. So certainly if they have questions or concerns, those will come out in the departmental review, so there won't be like surprises. But they also will not be closing the book on the different departmental reviews on a piecemeal basis. They want to wait till they have the whole budget reviewed. So I think that's actually a more kind of organic or like comprehensive way to look at the budget, but it is different than prior years. So I will be sending something out to departments to explain all of that.
I also have a question if I could, Vanessa. Since schools, particularly Pentucket, are such a major part of our budget, obviously. And I know there's a big meeting next week, Tuesday night, but do you anticipate, Angus, anything coming out of that that's gonna be a curveball for us in West Newbury?
Well, what we expect is that they'll come in with a recommendation to reduce the amount they proposed by $825,000 in total. And that would reduce West Newbury and its kind of relative share of that. That reduced number we did receive, Jenny and I did receive from the business office over there. And that is what's reflected in the budget I've proposed, is that reduced number. I expect Tuesday's hearing there to be a lot of focus by the school committee and the public as to what would those cuts look like. And it's not, a foregone conclusion that the school committee would make those cuts. I do believe, as I said, I think Thursday, I do believe they will. I don't think the superintendent would come forward and say they're recommending $825,000 off the number unless he felt like that was going to happen.
Yeah.
Because, but it's the school committee, they're elected officials, they can vote the budget as, they see appropriate. So I do think they'll cut that amount, but I don't know that. None of us will know that until that happens.
Okay, thanks.
So I guess in terms of curveballs, if they don't cut that amount, it's gonna go back to the, what you see in the initial proposed budget column in the budget that I shared, so.
And it's a cut off what was proposed. by-
Yeah, it's not a cut from current year, right, it's a reduced increase, not a cut. That's
Exactly.
important clarification.
You wanna
Departments.
take it by department and,
Yeah.
who's first is, chief or is it? Brian, I can go.
Well, his departments, he's got articles, so Christian, if you want, so with the assessing, let me pull up my overall budget, and my numbers for assessing were the same as what I'd received from the department. The only, let's see, so. So, yeah, I received, the numbers that I received from the department are the same ones I brought forward in my budget. The only adjustment, Christian, if this first column, the 181,963 looks a little bit higher than what you sent me, it's because I made the assumed COLA adjustment,
Okay,
so that's the only difference.
okay, but the operating is the same.
I brought forward the same,
Okay.
yeah, the same budget. Yeah, operating, yeah, is that what you said?
Yeah,
Yeah,
just making sure the operating was.
okay, I thought you said the upgrading, and I was like, well, I mean,
So in the backup that was provided, so you're showing the change from FY 26 for each of several
Each of the
items. Yeah.
minor categories, I mean, it's all just operational expenses, but I try to keep some subcategories just to give me an idea of what I have to spend.
What caught my eye is the training and education.
Mhm.
So the increase of $7,000 means,
No, that's $7,000 total in that
oh, I just
Percent
read it,
measure.
sorry, okay.
$0 increase from
Okay.
FY 26.
I just, that number really jumped out, so you mentioned 3 conferences here.
2 of 3 conferences is what I'm looking
Oh,
at.
I see, the national and either. And these conferences are not local.
No,
So do you have a rough idea of the split between travel expenses and the actual education or training part?
The training portion of it, the actual registration, is probably about $2,000, and then another 2 to 3 for travel and hotel, and then Maureen Curtin also has classes to take to keep her designation up as well. So those are local.
Okay. So I guess, is there a policy for, training as far as travel, you know, for national, which requires, air flight and so forth? Is there a town policy on that?
there is, yeah, there's a, employee reimbursement policy, which is one of the financial policies that we've approved over the last couple of years. It provides all the kind of terms for, expense reimbursement. Any out-of-state, conference requires advance approval prior to registering.
Okay. And does that happen?
I don't think it's happened every single time, no.
So I've thrown novelize here, so I'm just curious, what does a national conference that requires airfare and so forth offer that a local conference does not?
I get a perspective from assessors that operate at a much larger scale than what I would see here in Massachusetts. The educational offerings are also much more robust and forward thinking, where I see a lot of the local and state level stuff that be topics that would be not useful for my time, and stuff that I've gone over previously. Or, don't need to review. The national conferences also, give me continuing education credit for my advanced designation.
All right, thanks.
Christian,
Yes.
if I may, on the vision software subscription.
Mhm.
Do we have, I remember we approved this 2 years ago or so, right?
Yes.
So this is the second year, so the increase was calculated into the agreement that we signed 2 years ago, is that correct?
Well, they don't give me a year to year, starting at the beginning, it's more of just an ongoing. Amount that they calculate and let us know.
So this one, not doing the math, I don't have the number right off the top of my head, but it 15% increase,
It was sizable, yes.
yeah. Is that expected going forward?
I don't think so, that's. Having worked with the company for 13 years, that was a large jump for them and not certain where it came from, but. I don't expect that to happen anytime soon.
And do they, for how far in advance do you get a bill from them for this? Is it just every January it rolls around or every June it rolls around?
I get notified in sometime in the fall, they'll let us know what to expect.
And it's a calendar year agreement
No, it's fiscal year.
this year?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it just seemed high. Sounds like you agree.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Okay,
There was a lot of pushback from the assessing community on that.
yeah,
So,
okay. Gotta do what you gotta do.
yeah. Would like to point out that the operating budget is less than what it was in FY14. So it's still very low.
And the one thing that this would just, not to go into great detail, but I think for, especially for the newer FinCom members, it would be good to, I'll just give a brief overview, but a lot of small towns, essentially outsource their assessing function. They have whether it's, Patriot Properties or one of these vendors, they do all the assessments and the assessing office is kind of keying those in and managing the software, but they're not actually doing the assessments. We made a change about 3 years ago, was it? With the support of the Board of Assessors, when we hired Christian, we knew he had a lot of technical knowledge and mass appraisal experience in other communities and regions, working on a regional scale. And so he came to us with a lot of in-house skill set and essentially pitched the idea to me and to the Board of Assessors to take the assessing function in-house, where now we're relying on the software for some specialized things like utility valuations, and I think personal property, but that the assessments of basically homes is done by Christian. So it's something that when that decision was made, it was a significant cost savings because we were spending, I think, over $30,000 a year on Patriot Properties.
Yeah.
So we're able to cut that. So that's, I think, why the operating budget has dropped. The downside of that, speaking frankly, and this isn't anything Christian and I haven't talked about, is if we lose him in the future, if he moves on, we would have to hire someone who has a similar skill set. As opposed to some of the area assessors are more, I would say, a pass-through. I think that's a fair way to put it, of data. So, and we saw an instance, I think you were maybe still on the FinCom when there was the whole dust up on the errors that were made in certain neighborhood codes, and those had not been caught at the staff level because all the staff were doing was really keying in the data from the vendor. So it's a very different model, and that change was made intentionally. I don't know, do you want to elaborate on that at all?
I would agree with everything that Angus said. Just it's very different from a lot of the other smaller communities in Massachusetts. Where I'm not sure how we came to this place in, the assessing profession, but a lot of it is handled by private companies, and there'll be a part-time assessor who may be just, the rubber stamp for any kind of valuations they produce. My work, however, is all in-house, and I know the valuations that are happening in our community, and I do all the inspections and the valuation work, which is usually, again, outsourced or done by a much larger staff for a larger community.
So what's in the budget? It's yourself and an assistant assessor?
Yes.
Is there any clerical or administrative help in there?
Well, the assistant assessor is a clerk of sorts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
We take the lead, right, and this, what's that? I said the FinCom's taking the lead on this, right? I mean,
Yeah,
Making,
yeah.
okay, yeah, I make a motion to accept.
Well,
We're
Yeah,
We're not doing that this
we're
year.
on both. Oh, that's right, thank you.
So I think the learning curve is.
I can set the rules.
So basically, the discussion, if they have like major questions or concerns, now is when to put those on the table. But just to be pointed about this, and you just happen to go first, it's first in the alphabet, but that's actually truly animal control. But what that means is that as FinCom gets later in the budget process, they are not ruling out, they could come back and trim things just because they've reviewed it tonight. So I'm gonna send something out to all departments and make sure that when we get to that last budget meeting, that everybody's aware. So that if there are changes at that point, that no one's caught surprised. But the idea for tonight's meeting is if there's any, red flags or concerns, they get those on the table.
Would the staff be invited in for that discussion?
Oh, yeah, of course, that's all public, but. Yes.
Okay.
And to the extent, if I have any preview of like anything that I think might happen, I would certainly share that, but I won't necessarily know, because it's, it's the committee and the board that ultimately does the budget.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Christian. And we do have we have the town clerk on remotely. And that was another budget where the number that I brought forward in my budget was the same as what I had received from the department, with the only adjustment being an assumed COLA. So if you have questions on the town clerk budget, I'm happy to field those, or if there's anything that you ask me that is beyond my knowledge, then I would refer to Amanda. And where she's new to town, you can certainly direct questions to her initially if you'd like.
So I had a question on the assistant town clerk, the additional duties. I thought that was under the town manager budget, that's not.
It hadn't been budgeted in the town manager budget. Yeah. That could be something we could look at, because it could make some sense, because those operationally tend to be more under my direction than Amanda's.
Yeah.
I actually kind of like that idea. I don't know, Jenny, what you think? So create like a payroll
A
head.
little bit, but I mean, anything can be done, so.
You're too gracious to.
Don't say anything can be done, dig a hole, you'll never get out of it.
This is pretty much level funded from last year. right?
Yes, yeah, it's just a COLA only increase. With the registrars went up more because of the elections, and instead of coming out next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really have any questions. Anybody here?
There isn't a lot to ask about.
Yeah.
Pretty straightforward.
I think we're all set, Amanda, thank you.
Okay, thank you guys.
I told you there wasn't gonna be a lot of drama. She was kind of beating herself up about not being here. I was like, don't worry. She was willing to be here, but I said, you know what? It's probably not gonna be a whole lot of
We
fireworks.
could
so-
create drama if you'd like.
No, I'm okay. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Next
Have a good
slide.
night.
That would also include the registrar, right?
Yeah,
Budget.
yeah, it's a separate line in the budget, separate section of the budget, but Amanda prepares that budget. And that fluctuates with the number of elections.
Yeah.
And the presidential elections as well.
10,600. Yeah. Debt service is really nothing there, right?
Literally nothing there.
That's good.
And the next one.
Essex County Retirement.
So I included both the assessment letter that we receive, and we do every year take advantage of the prepaid discount. That's the first bill we pay in July, and so we get, we budget for that lower amount, as opposed to paying it in 2 installments. And then I also included in here the, how that's broken down between town and water. The retirement is always lagging 1 year from actual earnings. They base the assessment on the prior calendar year actual earnings. And so what Jenny runs this calculation, I blanked out the names and their specific salaries, but the bottom line reflects the total pensionable earnings for water. And that's 7.67% of the total town earnings, and so they're assessed that same percentage of the retirement assessment. That's how that works. So when the water budget comes before you in a few weeks, you'll see the same document with the balance coming out of their budget.
And the page prior to that, the housing authority with 0, I don't recall what the rationale for that is, because we don't employ anybody.
Well, this is the same letter that goes to everybody. West Newbury Housing Authority, I think, doesn't employ anybody because it's, yeah, because it's Newbury Port covers that.
There's really not much we can say about this. Right, it's a big increase.
I know, at first I was looking at the 1,115,000 and I was not seeing that how we were getting to the 1,030,030, but I finally figured it out, so.
Got it, yeah.
And those numbers are set, so the water department number is set as well?
Yes, yeah, because it's based on the prior year.
Mhm.
So let's say, for instance, they added a new person or they cut a person and their percentage changed, that wouldn't show up until next year's assessment. We send them our payroll through the first 3 quarters of the calendar year, then they annualize that, and that's what they use with that report. You may remember, what was it, 3 years ago, there was a pretty significant error in the amount. They actually, they overcharged us, right? And that was because they kind of, or they.
I think they
Undercharged.
Then they made up for it.
300 grand. Oh, right, and then it went way up the next year, right, yeah. That was because they did some incorrect math on the annualizing of the payroll.
And that 57,264 is the increase. And that's split between the water department and the town, right?
No, the 57, this is their total system-wide number.
System-wide.
Yeah, so our number is the, 1,150,000. And the way that breaks down is between town and water is here.
92 versus 7. Okay. All set? Dan?
Question, yeah, so on that, if you look at the percentage of the 1.115 million to the 3.6 in the, I call it the town payroll. Or the, right, that's the total that's. town-
Oh, yes, yep.
It's 30% or so. Maybe not that much, but. Is that comparable to other towns? Is it all the same?
Wait, you're saying between town and water?
No, the 1.15 to the total reported earnings. The total appropriation of 1.15 million.
Oh, yeah.
In the appropriation letter, are you talking about the percentage there?
First,
If you go back to the appropriation letter, Angus?
are all the towns basically getting the same
So-
peanut butter applied to them?
No, so
Or
we're about what, so go to the highlighted, that we're what, 1.95% of it, and that's just based on an overall, like, in North Andover, their payroll is 15% of the assessment because they just have a larger pensionable. Staff, yeah,
Yeah, oh, okay.
So is it based on wages or
Based
number of
on
people?
pensionable wages.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't make motion.
Never done.
And then we kind of touched on registrars, didn't sound like there were any real questions there. Unemployment compensation, we generally don't have any activity there. And I always wonder, should we zero that out? But we always carry something because we have, in the years we've worked together, we have had times that we've had to pay something there. So I reduced it a little bit to $1,200, but I mean, the negligible now. Any questions on unemployment?
Nope.
No.
Alright. So the next one we had was the insurance and bonds, so I put a memo together to kind of explain what we pay out of that and where the money goes. We did get the 0% rate increase guarantee for next year, which was huge. That was really nice to get that letter. We got a similar letter a couple of years ago. So, we have, gotten really proactive at filing for the credits. That's when we have employees doing workplace safety and we document that training and send it to insurance. That all is taken into account. And you can see in, so far this year, we've gotten, over $23,000 of credits in the current fiscal year compared to 10.6 last year. So that's a huge plus. And that's a real credit to Rebecca in my office, does a lot of the kind of coordinating the paperwork on that, because I will say over the years, I think the town's always done a really nice job with training and safety, workplace safety things, but we hadn't always been organized to like get those rosters over to insurance and document all of that. So now that we're doing that, we're getting a lot more credits. We did demolish the park and rec building, so we don't need to insure that going forward. We're still carrying a separate policy for soldiers and sailors because Maya does not insure a vacant building. So I did note in my memo, I had inadvertently subtracted 2,000 instead of adding it, so that's why I shaded this cell in red. That was the error in the spreadsheet. This is a line that is, you know, we can't budget it like down to the dollar because there's too much variability. We don't actually get our insurance invoice until summertime. This year, we have a lot more predictability because we got the 0% increase, so this year, you know, we're in better shape, so. I think if we needed to trim this, I think there's probably room in here to trim when you look at the. But I don't wanna like count on getting those credits, cause that does rely on a fair amount of work out of my office, and if. You know, staffing changed or whatever, like. It's like a nice thing when we get, but I didn't wanna rely on that too much in the budgeting.
Can you, in the chart there, can you explain again what water department credit actually means?
Yeah, so that's a credit to the general fund. So every year, the major policy is the property casualty, which includes liability, public officials liability, workers' comp. All of that is a single policy and we get a single invoice. Every year, Maya, our provider, gives us a breakdown of what share of that is covering the water department assets or payroll. So they're assigned a percentage and we don't get that number till July or typically more like August each year. So the fiscal year's already started. So we give an estimate to water of what we think their share is. And then when we get that true number, we let them know and they cut us a check or we do a, you know, transfer. So that offsets what is payable from the general fund.
Okay, thanks.
So if they were to, you know, like a couple of years ago when they rebuilt the Bridge Hill water tank, that obviously the new tank was worth more than the old tank, so that increased the amount we're insuring for them.
Okay, clear, thanks.
So you said we don't insure vacant buildings,
Maya will not insure it.
so does that include soldiers and sailors?
Yeah, that's why we have a separate policy.
All right, I thought you were talking about park and rec.
Well, both of them.
Okay.
We had a separate policy for each of those
Okay.
buildings.
All right.
So, any questions on insurance and bonds?
So the building across the library, nobody, the whole discussion is that the town
Town hall,
hall.
yeah.
That falls under this, I mean, falls under our blanket policy, not a special.
It does, but they have told us, and you may have heard me say this in prior cycles, they have told us that if that building was being added to our policy, they would not cover it.
Okay.
Because there is not a public use of it. It's essentially grandfathered in, so they have allowed it to remain within the policy, but where the predominant use is leased to a private party. Maya and their underwriters are not in the business of insuring private businesses, they're in the business of insuring cities and towns, so. That is something that I think is, you know, that the day could come in a future renewal cycle where they boot that off and we would have to.
Yeah, we have to ensure that separately, like.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Is the same true for the children's council, or is that?
I think, yeah, well, yeah, in fact, I mean, they've told us point blank, they wouldn't allow the town to enter a lease like that. If it was not something that was a legacy issue. There was a incident, I think it was down the south coast, somewhere in New Bedford area a few years ago, where there was. A municipality, I don't think it was New Bedford specifically, it was somewhere in that area, but there was a city or town that had a kind of big industrial building, they were leasing out some of the space, there was a fire, it was catastrophic, caused a lot of losses, and that caused Maya to kind of reassess their whole portfolio, and that's when they told me, I think this was 3 or 4 years ago, in a meeting, they said that because of this, their underwriters were now pressing them to say, how many other situations are there like this where you don't necessarily know like who's leasing and what their safety practices are or whatever.
It makes sense.
And then moderator, we kept that the same. I put in 60, it's actually 40, so I made that adjustment under $20 down.
In case you're raised.
Went down. She said that's all she needs, that $40 is all she needs for expenses, so that's a little bit in there.
Articles.
Yes.
Should we just do them in order?
I think, where we got Dwyer and Brian here, I think if we can, pick off theirs first, I'm sure they would appreciate that. And I think Chief, you're on vacation, so maybe we start with you, we get you home.
It's not much of a vacation, but.
I can,
No, go ahead, you want me to a couple there?
so,
Please, Chris.
yeah, so we'll start with 28, police cruiser, and I know Chief's still looking to pin down the number, so we thought we might pass over that one tonight, or?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that quote would be honored as of July 2026. And my request to the dealer was, do we anticipate any increases in some of the equipment costs or from Ford? So I'll get that answer to Angus once I receive it, and that'll give us a better number to know.
I will say the same thing I've said to a number of departments. I would rather see you build in a little more and turn money back than squeeze it too tight. And then we end up in a situation where like we're pressed to get the item, especially if it's a matter of like a couple of $1,000s. We don't wanna have the numbers like way too high, but I have seen instances where departments have come in intending to kind of squeeze the number at this stage. And then they go to purchase it and they're like, oh, it's 1,500 more, and they gotta pull it out of operating. So that's at least where I said, I don't know if the FinCom sees it differently, but I'd rather see you round up a little bit, make sure you have enough to get the cruiser, and then if you turn back a couple of $1,000s, to me, it's fine, but you guys might see it differently.
Well, between the time frame, couldn't people make the request to have the quote valid through July 1st?
They could, if the vendor will honor that, yeah. I think nowadays with tariffs in particular, I think there's.
That's my biggest worry, was what they were gonna see in the increases for sort of that.
Yeah, the other thing is, Chief and Brian and Butch and, they start working on these capital articles in like early fall. And they come up with numbers, and then a couple of months later, they're coming back at more numbers, and then it's a couple of months after that the money's actually appropriated, and you can understand the vendors are probably like, well, didn't I already give you 2 numbers? So I think that's where there's a difference between a budget number and an actual number.
So generally, you're replacing one vehicle a year?
Yes.
Is that what you're trying to get at? And you're not going for hybrid?
No,
So which article, what we're talking about?
We're still at 28.
28. So this is really vehicle, it's not all the accessories that you pull them out of another car and put them in.
there's a lot of things that we are able to transfer into the new cruiser, which does save us a considerable amount of money for the life of all those vehicles. But there are some that are unique to that particular year vehicle, so.
So going off of what Angus suggested, is the 60, are you afraid the 67 is enough, or that it could be shaved down?
Just, I wanna make sure that Ford is gonna honor the price through the dealer, and then we're not gonna see any issues with tariff or increases in the equipment that gets put onto the particular car.
And you expect to know within a couple of weeks or so?
Yes.
Okay. So we table it?
Yeah, I just hate to, come back to it every article we table,
I really, no, because we have not very few meetings that we have to get a lot done.
Right?
I will say on the scorecard, those that are shaded in blue, it looks like, at least on my version, the legend got cut off, so I'll fix that for next time, but the blue is my way of saying I would recommend that as a special town meeting article. That would allow, if it passes a town meeting, those funds could be spent the next day as opposed to waiting to July 1st, partly because of these supply chain issues.
So this says 71,000.
Yeah, there were a couple of different scenarios in, what I had received. And I think when this article packet went together, I had, this certain amount. I had the capital program at 71.
Would you be comfortable with that, Mike?
Was that
With
the?
the 71?
Oh, yeah, that's originally what Angus, set it as, and I think that would be fine if you wanted to vote on it tonight.
And just to be clear, I did that kind of arbitrarily. I just was looking at the price escalation over the
Yeah.
years. I kind of just picked a number, the 71,000. So he went, and got quotes, and his quotes were coming in a little lower, but when I was filling out the capital program months ago, I put in 71
Yeah.
as just like a,
Yeah.
estimate. So if that's a healthy number,
Yeah, and when the quote came in under that, I was pleasantly surprised,
Yeah.
because I was really expecting it to go up a lot more. With all the
So
talk.
are we comfortable just?
So what's the
with that,
quote
get
at
it
right
off the
now?
table?
I mean, how far is the quote different from the 67 and 71?
It was,
Well, I know it's 4K, but what's the real quote at right now? That you're trying
67.
to convert, that's what it is,
yeah.
okay.
He wants to see it. It's gonna go up.
Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve Article 28 with an amount of $71,000 in anticipation of increased costs.
Second,
All in favor? Unanimous?
and if anyone's curious, the actual quote was back on the January 28th FinCom packet. That's, we included all the quotes, so those were part of the prior packet.
You okay with this?
There's a revolving fund that has money from details that offset some of this cost. Is that included, or how does that impact this article?
Isn't that the extras that, that's what it said in them,
Now what?
the extras, you know, let's see.
So what the total cost of the vehicle be, and how much is the fund covering?
Well, that varies each year too, Angus, because of the amount of details that are into it.
Right.
That's not.
Yeah, I mean, in general, we've been able to draw about 5,000. I think the monies are not coming in. At that, I think 5,000 might be a little more than,
It's about 15,000 in there.
oh, there is, okay, then we could comfortably draw 5,000.
Yeah, and we were holding off on using some of the hybrids for the details, because we didn't want to create too much wear and tear.
Yeah, part of what I was, working with was, I had the 3 different quotes come in for prices of, with different tiers, so. And I know that was to look at different options, so it was,
You were just having the motion that the 5,000 would be used from the revolving fund.
I think the voter should understand too, yeah.
You make a motion.
You wanna say 71,000 on the offset 5? We'll make a motion to endorse, because we're not approving it, right? We're just supporting the article.
just endorsing it.
The 71, Article 28, 71,000 from the police cruiser with a $5,000 offset from the revolving fund.
Second, all in favor? Aye.
who's doing the rationale?
I'll do the rationale. Sunset?
I think 2 years, is that right?
Yeah, that's really.
30,
Delivery, 6/27.
6/30, 2023.
One.
That's what it's in the request.
Yeah.
'29 is, tasers.
Motion to approve Article 29.
Second,
Any further discussion? All in favor? Unanimous?
Any questions on this?
Any grants available?
We will look into some grants there's usually a technology grant that comes out this time of year. I know we've used it in the past for the computers and the cruisers. Some departments had some luck with tasers as a electronic device. But again, that depends on what comes out for grant funding and what the recommended, what the more priority items are for it, but I'm happy to look into that for any of the products we have.
Another question, on the second page, it talks about non-binding budgetary estimate. And it breaks it down on an annual basis. You're not doing it on an annual basis, this is a lump sum.
Yeah, that's how they offer it up.
And then the other question on this one, it's got sales tax, we're not gonna,
No, we did the paperwork to make sure that that would not be there.
so I guess
The number you have should be without the sales tax.
I'll make a motion to endorse Article 29, for some $46,000 for tasers.
1 second. In favor?
And it was brought up at FinCom, initially that we would be turning the existing equipment over to them to dispose of.
To this company.
Yeah.
So do you guys wanna do rationale and sunset?
I'll do the rationale, fine.
Who was that?
I'll do it.
Great, thanks, Brian.
Brian,
Call me if I can be of any help.
I mean, the nice thing with these article request forms is some amount of it's just
Yeah.
paraphrasing.
Yeah.
As if the department did a, nice job articulating the reason, that's really the reason, you don't need to read all the wheel, so.
And try to take the jargon out too, to make that a little easier for you as well.
Even did a live demonstration at Chris.
Didn't phase me noticeably, right?
maybe the parliamentarian should get the old one.
Yeah. I tried, Jim, yeah.
Wouldn't budge.
What's the sunset on that one, was that 27? That's all in the order next fiscal year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Article 30,
Motion to approve Article 30.
Second.
any further discussion?
I have a question. I may miss this. How long does this equipment typically last?
So we're seeing 10 to 15 years for the equipment. And then we run into like certifying the bottles that are certified every
Right.
year, those sometimes pass fail.
So last time we got this was 2017, it says.
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
So would it make sense to purchase smaller quantities instead of replacing the entire group every 10 years? And that would be like a,
Yeah, what we're looking at is exactly what we need to have in order to maintain the equipment we have, the vehicles. We have to have these fixed in specific locations in the vehicles, and then they have to have a spare tank. This is really
so this is our total inventory?
this is really a minimum of what we need.
I was just wondering if perhaps replace 5 every year, and just have it be like in your operating budget might be better than, I mean, this is a lot of money.
We did look at that, the board of fire engineers looked at that last 2 times. One year we got a full grant from FEMA to replace these. What we find is the change in technology, we want this all to be standard equipment. Again, it is a very expensive package, but if we were to buy them every 5 years, there would be different technology, different training requirements. There's a lot of things that are built into these systems really for firefighter safety. So we talked about fire gear, that's certainly something we could put into our budget and buy 5 or 10 per year. But with this type of equipment that we have.
I asked the same question, and feedback was, well, who gets to use the old one and who gets to use the new one, you might be a difference in the quality of the
Well, they're all
equipment.
certified though, right?
Yeah, every year they need to be certified and tested, and that includes the masks, all the harnesses and their regular models.
Well, we did talk, Mike and Dennis and Angus, I met over there a couple of weeks ago. You can reserve some of the better old equipment to use the training, because you said it gets beat up in training. So
Correct.
it's turned back.
Do you happen to recall what the price was in 2017?
I could look that up. It was-
It just is such a large amount.
Relative, that is a big number, is it? Are there any other manufacturers that do this, or are they sort of got a captive audience? And they-
No, there's two manufacturers out there, well, there's more than two, but there's two primarily that are used. These aren't used in a lot of different agencies, but they come in a lot cheaper. And we think it's a better product. We've tested both brands. This one we felt was the best for our department.
So we're purchasing this a year early.
Just because of if we can get it on time. We don't anticipate any delays, but we just want to make sure that it gets delivered and we can train on it in time.
So this is put into the capital plan as an every 10-year
Mhm.
expense.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor? Yeah,
And Wendy, we did confirm that this number will hold true to, the start of the fiscal year as well.
we need a rationale brighter at the sunset. Sunset, number 27.
Chief. Sunset.
March 7th, what's that?
Yeah.
I'll do the rationale.
Did we put a sunset on tasers?
We did,
Okay.
yeah, it's 27.
Make a motion to close Article 30 with the sum of $382,477.
Second, and just one further question, that the total of 30, that's vehicle specific, not.
No, for instance, as chief, I have one, we have, rescue systems that we're required to have that are separate bag. And then we have, on the apparatus, we have full systems that are built into the seats, and then we have spare tanks. So each system has one spare tank that's filled, and then one mask, and then everybody's assigned a mask for health and safety reasons.
So this number of 30 is support the entire.
Yes, the full complement.
Okay. And how many of those firefighters are all regularly or?
So they're all regular, they're all required to be trained in these systems every year. That's a mandatory training.
I guess my question is, do we need 30? Like, how many of those firefighters routinely get called for fires and respond?
Yeah, I think it's important we have, especially when we have a fire scene. A lot of that stuff is, a pack could fail, they have to utilize another pack. It's sort of a insurance policy.
Okay. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
I think.
Article 31, fire department off-road utility vehicle.
Motion to approve Article 31.
Second.
Any questions, further discussion?
So Jimmy, the pre-existing vehicle is no longer viable?
It's been beat up pretty good. It doesn't, it's not as safe. I mean, that was a really designed for a farming application. When we're using that in the woods, there's no windscreen, there's no,
Any idea how many times this thing gets used in a practical way throughout the year?
gets used a lot. We have a lot of trail systems where horseback riders get thrown from the horse. It sure as heck is better than walking them out 2 miles. We use it for a lot of the public events in town, parades, and it gets used by other departments as well for site visits. But just because of our complex trail systems in town, it's really helpful. And then for brush fire season.
But
Seems
have
like
you
a
had
lot.
to use it though? I
Yeah.
know it would be nice.
Oh yeah, no,
On trail?
yeah, we use it a lot, yep. Yeah, no bond, that's usually the big place we use it when there's been missing people. There is a grant opportunity, I explained to Angus, and he's more than willing to research that. Some communities have gotten us paid in full, much better system. I'd be willing to work with Angus, I spoke to him about it.
What's the water capacity of the new?
It would be a small tank, I wanna say less than 50 gallons,
Okay,
just to do an initial.
doesn't even reference to.
Yeah.
2.5 for the first one, just.
In the current UTV, you'll turn over.
Yes.
Is there a trailer that comes with this? Trailer?
There would be a trailer.
It's part of the 65, right?
No, the next article.
The 65, I believe, is the trailer. There was a request to get a quote for a trailer.
The next article, not associated.
Yeah, that's for DPW.
Okay.
Yeah, the number was combined.
So it doesn't include,
That would include the trailer.
or would include, okay.
Yes.
So it's all together. So we have a motion, a second, any further discussion? All in favor? All opposed? One. Rationale,
You're right.
Brian?
Yeah.
Sunset,
27.
27?
No. Yeah, so it seems like it's a lot of money. The motion is support Article 31, the utility vehicle is some 65,000.
Second. Okay. Opposed?
I don't know what to do.
I'm opposed, I feel like I can see the tanks for the firefighters, but the seats. Is not really necessary at this point. Can this be budgeted into next year or forecast next year?
Yeah, we commonly would push things, we've done it with the tanker, that was pushed quite a bit ahead, so.
Yeah. Are you voting yea or nay?
Abstained. I want to support the police and the fire every way you can, it just seems like a lot of money, I don't know what to say, the lawyers will tell us what's right or wrong.
Can I get approval to apply for a grant through Angus? I know that can't happen tonight, but.
Yeah, I'm all in favor for a grant, so that's not gonna take any staff resources to.
It'd be my. I would so.
So we keep this on the warrant. You asked if we could hold till next year, I don't know if that means we keep it on the warrant, take it off.
No, I was just asking in general, if it did not get approved at town meeting.
Of course.
Yeah. All right, so you're seeing Chris?
Yeah.
Okay,
I say it was 011.
the next police item is the patrol rifles, number 33.
This the rifles.
Yeah, again, this is equipment that we tend to hang on a lot longer than we should. Just because we try to be responsible as to how we're spending our money through our budgets, because we know that funding is tight. These oftentimes are patrol ready in a police cruiser, so they're extreme heat, like this year, extreme cold. Our last officer that was in the academy, the gun had a failure. Luckily, nobody was hurt, but further inspection, the guns they're just in need of replacement. This funding is to replace a like weapon, that's nothing fancy. It's just a piece of equipment that's necessary for the job.
How many rifles are you replacing 5, or did you
Yes.
have 5 and you're replacing?
Yep. Yeah, one obviously is out of service now, and all of them were purchased at the same time, so we'd be looking at replacing all.
What's the level of training involved for officers regarding this stuff? I mean, how often do they practice with it?
Twice a year, and then unless they want additional training, we can provide that for them. And then academy training, is, I believe it's a full week of both handgun and rifle training.
So when would an officer use a rifle versus a handgun?
When you're in a situation where there's quite a bit of distance, active shooter situation at the school.
So just a longer range.
Yeah.
Right.
What's a life cycle of a rifle?
I'm sorry,
What's the life cycle of a rifle? Like how long would it last?
we were really hoping like 20 years initially when we got these, but it's sort of looking like a 10-year mark right now. These are like, I think 12.
So another 10 years from now, we have the
Yeah.
replacements. Okay.
Yeah. And again, this is something that certainly could be done
Year
through,
with the budget.
each year with different cycles of awards. It's been one way or the other. Happy to look at that moving forward if that's a better.
It just seems like it's a standing expense, you know, to replace
Yeah.
the inventory. That's how I would prefer it.
Yeah.
One question, why is this coming up as a capital item if it's only $6K?
It's not. It's not a capital item.
Okay.
It's in lieu for special.
Yeah, we just included it tonight because we knew Dwyer was gonna be here, so.
Okay.
And I held off, to make sure it wasn't used with capital.
Obviously it was.
Surprise.
So if it's not capital, are we still voting on?
Yeah, you vote on everything.
Did I make a motion to approve?
Trade it.
Oh, you trade me to finding of police patrol rifles for $6,000. I second. All in favor? Unanimous? Dennis can do that. 27?
Yes. Thank you.
Motion to support Article 30, the sum of $6,000 for the replacement of patrol rifles.
Yeah. Take care of your.
Do you need me to be on? I think we should have some good enough. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for coming in on your day off. I hate for you to do that. I had not realized you were off today.
Right, I work full day.
I had it.
Sounds like a fun day off.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I said.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
So the culverts are my article, so why don't we come back to that after we get Ryan squared away with his articles. That makes sense to you. We did put the mower on here, that's really Butch's article, not Ryan's, but since it's a replacement, it felt like it was pretty straightforward. If that's straightforward, I would ask you to vote it tonight. If you have questions, I would suggest we table that till Butch can be here. Dennis reached out last week and we're trying to get let's see what we can kind of get off the list, and it seemed like a
Yeah, I'm okay with them.
pretty straightforward.
Motion to approve Article 21.
A second.
All in favor?
I'll take this one.
So does he have like a capital, like a replacement plan for all of the equipment? You know what I mean, like, we approved several last year, and, I'm just wondering, going forward.
It's all in the capital program.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think that department has its own capital replacement list. I think it's really all through the program. That's something that's come a long way in the last, 6 or 8 years I think with Wayne's tenure, that started to get a lot more methodical in terms of what was needed when. It's a difference, as you know, it's a different zero turn mower than was replaced, you know, the last cycle, and voters will ask that too. They'll say, didn't we just do one? Yeah. They have two, and then there's one that, water kind of got, I think, as a hand-me-down from them.
My question, if what's it been here? This seems like the cabin. 12,500 is a lot of money for the cabin, well, it's not. It's almost the same price as the cab, and the mower, so that just seemed. I'm not sure the last one had a cabin.
It did not.
You wanna wait until he comes in for other articles?
I mean, which is always gonna explain it well, you know. The other thing again. This is where you had a quote that says through February 28th, which is next week. Yeah, I don't know. This is on a special town meeting, so if we had a quote that was good through July 1st, you could get the number tighter.
I disagree. I think it would be.
I heard that earlier.
No, I think the vendors would include more of a markup if they know they have to honor the price till July 1st. I think they would hedge their own risk rather than giving you a better, or don't you think? But I mean, wouldn't you? If you were agreeing to a price fund.
Nothing we deal with municipalities, that's the nature of the beast, they do it all the time.
I'm just curious about the cab, why it's needed on one and not the other. I don't know if he intends to use this one for different, different lines.
Mentioned a couple of years ago too, at a certain point in time, I wondered if it would be worth contracting out the mowing. With labor and equipment. You wanna wait till Butch is here to ask about the cab?
Sure, so he has a bunch of other articles, right?
He does, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Sorry. Now we get to, this interior painting.
What's wrong with me?
Yeah, so if you look around, yeah, I think Wayne had put this forward in the beginning, so if you look around the town hall, I mean, there's just a lot of painting that needs to be done. If you just look around this room, you'll see it's consistent throughout the building, especially in the hallways. So we would be painting everything.
Motion to approve Article 22.
Second. All in favor? All opposed? 32.
I'm sorry, who were the no votes?
Dennis and Brian. I can do the rationale on this one.
Can I ask why you're opposed? Just curious. We were gonna have a discussion on this.
With urgency. I just don't think it's an urgent thing with all the money that we're spending on, you know, on the critical fire and police. I think it could be put off for another time.
Okay.
When was it last painted?
I've never seen it done.
That's. You do it every 30 years.
There's been a lot of patching, there's been a lot of patching here and there, but I'd like to get it all at the same level.
So are you planning on doing it or would you contract this out?
There's enough money to have it contracted out, but we would probably, you know, I plan on doing it next winter if everything lines up. And having the, that contractor that I have subcontracted to give me. Would be using the same color scheme.
Yeah, I'll do it if, yeah.
But you're gonna get used to refresh, so I'm in favor. Make a motion to approve article, to endorse Article 22, sum of $30,000 for the upgrade painting to the town office building.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
And just for those who might be watching from home or watch this on tape delay, it's important to make sure everyone knows that the FinCom has already heard all of the capital articles on January 28th. So if it seems like they're just going right to a vote, they did talk about these a couple of weeks ago. So if it seems to those who are What different, well, it's their role to be the capital review.
No, I'm just saying that, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, that's, you know.
appreciate the input, the discussion, but I guess I missed it.
You were at the, Greenbelt.
I went to that, I went to the Greenbelt. And they got, Chris was got through most of the articles.
Oh, that's right.
I'll also make a comment to what Wendy said, so what, Dennis assigned us all to kind of take certain articles and kind of do a deeper dive, like individually. So, you know, I met with Brian and kind of, we went through these articles and we discussed it a bit during our, let's call it our pre-meeting that we have as a FinCom, and, you know, so we kind of discussed it more thoroughly at that time than we obviously are doing tonight, so. And I think we all were assigned different departments and, you know, et cetera. I think it went pretty smoothly.
I agree, but it doesn't hurt to air some of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah,
agree with it.
yeah.
Totally agree, yeah.
It probably looks like we're just saying, okay, boom, boom.
It's like, wow. I do have a question though, is that truly a capital item? I know it is dollar wise, but it's not a durable good, really. I mean, it seems like a maintenance thing rather than a capital item.
It's typically, you know, once it hits 20, we just, that capital antenna goes out. I think some of these are debatable.
Yeah,
Um,
okay.
So, and now that it's consolidated with FinCom, it really doesn't matter because they're recommending capital and financial articles. So with a separate committee, it did matter because it duplicated efforts.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to add for one we voted on?
No, similar reasons, yeah.
I just wonder, I'm thinking out loud here, you know, writing the rationale. I'm almost thinking that we need some type of let's call it a dissenting voice, if you will. You know, maybe when I write it, I can reach out to you guys, or I can put a sentence in there that says, you know, 2 FinCom members voted against it for this reason.
To address it, sure.
Yeah, just to kind of make it clear to the voters and very transparent, so, yeah.
I think that's great. Yeah.
I'll do
Because
that.
people will
Great.
wanna know, but Casey will not want them to ask. you know,
Exactly.
others, so.
Exactly, I can do that.
Okay, great.
All right, public safety complex. Goal 23.
Did the select board vote 2-0 on that one, they painted?
They did, yeah.
Thanks.
So this is the heating and cooling. This is the first one, Brian?
Yes. So, these units are getting old. There's a life expectancy of 15 years. These units are now 18 years old. So, and, they're American Standard units, and we got emails, pertaining to these units that said some of the parts are gonna be hard to get. Units are becoming obsolete and older. And, it's time to start replacing some of these. There's 4 units, or what, let me see, 5 units on top of the police, the public safety on the police side. And, my rationale was to start replacing one each year until we get them all done. Starting out and just replacing, the unit, this is the gas-fired unit. It's a split unit, does air conditioning and heating. So this is gas-fired for heat. And I was just gonna swap this unit out, and not use a heat pump. Only because I think the heat pump, is becoming better and better as the years go on. And, with the generator, it's been sized, not having a bunch of heat pumps on top of that roof, because it takes a lot of extra electricity to run the heat pumps. So the generator might not have enough power to run all the heat pumps if they all come on, and we've had a cold winter like this. And when they go into auxiliary heat and to a defrost mode, they require a lot of heat, I mean, a lot of electricity. And to get the electricity there requires, a lot more heavy duty wires and things of that nature, so it takes a lot more money to get to it. So, I would, out of the 4 or 5 units, I would like to do 3, just replacements with gas, and then do the other 2 with heat pumps. But we're only asking 1 now.
Those 2 with heat, your vision, those 2 with heat pumps would probably be the last 2 you're thinking?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, 'cause they get better every year. As, you know, the reports that I get, heat pumps are great for, if you're in a climate that doesn't get really, really cold.
Right, yeah.
And if you get into a cold climate, then like this year, we probably would have been, not on the good side of the heat pump.
Right.
Because they go into auxiliary heat and defrost mode, and it just takes a ton of electricity to get that. Even though you would probably be eligible for a grant, like we were for the COA unit. Getting to the electricity to support the unit, it's a wash, it's about the same.
Motion to approve Article 23.
Second. All in favor? Unanimous?
So you're replacing one of the gas ones.
Yeah, we're gonna place one of them, and then I'll
Just
reassess next year, and if the heat pumps go, in a better direction, we'll probably do another heat pump.
Okay,
And then maybe another gas, or save the heat pumps to the end is what I'm really thinking.
so is there any issue, I mean, will these all be the same brand and model?
Yeah. They're all made by the same company or in the same fashion.
Okay.
You know,
So that will be-
one is better than the other in a certain category, but they all are decent units. If you stay with the name brand.
And I did a ration sunset.
Can do the rest now.
Jim.
Yeah, I'll do the rest now. And the sunset, Brian, would be when?
Yeah, 27.
Okay. So 6/30/27.
Make a motion to endorse Article 22.
I think it's
23.
I got the wrong one, yeah, 23 for the sum of $22,000 to replace one HVAC unit on the public safety building.
Okay. All there, aye.
The roof replacement is the same one you saw last year, but the application was a metal roof. Now it's proposed as asphalt roof, much more cost effective.
Motion to approve Article 24.
Second. I just had a couple of questions. So last year we had a project that included the roof. And it was $195,000.
Yes.
So we're not replacing the 195 with 100,000. Where it was, the 95 is for the other work that has to be done?
No, I'm not familiar, I can't remember what that article actually said. I think the 195 was for the iron metal roof.
Right.
And, I don't think there was any other project.
To clarify, it came before select board, Brian,
Yeah.
came in a while ago and said there was a problem with the way the bid was structured on
Correct.
the metal roof.
That's
It
why,
made the price prohibitive.
right,
So we at the select board would have liked to endorse it, go with the asphalt, but in clarity, we just said, let's bring it back to the town meeting again. So that 195 goes away, that'll never get expanded.
Yeah.
I thought we were doing away with the 100 from last year, because the 100 wasn't good enough for the metal roof, but
No,
we're doing away with the 195.
That's the low
Okay,
bid.
okay.
The
So
low
it's-
bid
it's like
came
a-
in at, what was the low bid? It was well above that.
yeah, right, to get the right qualifications that we weren't aware of.
Right.
The low bid was at 300,000 for the metal. So I don't think it's worth that.
Because everybody needed to be cheap notes.
Yeah, right, you were,
Yeah, you-
exactly, there was, there was some, criteria for the contractors. And out of the several contractors that showed up on the sidewalk, I think there was 2 that were aware of that, and I think they brought that forward to the, fair bidding.
So they disqualified.
Yeah, so disqualify so we got a bid for 160,000, I think, to do in metal.
Mhm.
And the contractor actually had a sheet metal license just for him. And it's usually like a blanket sheet metal, but, the Mass State Codes requires every person on the roof to have that license.
And so the new roof is 100,000 and it's everything, it's
Correct.
taking the old stuff off.
All the old stuff off, yeah,
Okay.
and just, yeah. Applying ice and water shield,
But asphalt.
you know, exactly,
Right.
yeah, it's asphalt.
I mean,
So metal is typically like a 40-year roof, and the asphalt you can get anywhere from 20 to 35 years or so. Yeah, depending on what you get. But this is a real steep roof. It seemed to last pretty well. And the shingle that's on there now is not really a high quality shingle. So I'm thinking we can probably at least get 25 to 30 years out of the asphalt roof.
we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Actually, what's that, right?
I'll do the rational.
And,
He's here.
27 sunset or?
Yeah, yeah. This one's going to town special town meeting, correct?
That's my recommendation.
And we don't think it.
Yeah, we talked about, I talked to Brian and Caitlin about, potentially going out to bid this winter. That way, we have the bids in hand by town meeting and you can award a contract, the next day, assuming the funding passes.
Yeah.
That would allow them to get going,
We're along in the process.
cause they already had the whole bid package complete for the metal strips, so.
Even the first time around, I would have preferred the asphalt, I mentioned at the time, but they wanted the metal, and
Yeah,
I think it's a much better, utilization of money.
yeah, I mean, I agree at that price. I thought it was gonna be more comparable. And I thought maybe the metal would just last that long, much longer for the amount of money, but I think it's way overpriced. What you're gonna get. I agree with him.
Motion to endorse Article 24, the sum of $100,000 to replace the pitch roof on the public safety complex.
Second, all in favor?
Before we go to the next article, I just want to go back to the interior campaign 22. The sunset was 6/30/27 on that one too. Okay, good. Thanks. So,
Under the fire alarm control system.
Motion to approve Article 25.
Second.
all in favor?
Take that.
Pick up the pace that it did.
Gary,
Yeah, I'll do it.
6/27?
This one?
Motion to endorse Article 25, the sum of $25,000 to replace the fire alarm control panel in the public safety building.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
What was the amount on that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, $25,000.
I got 20. Did I? Is it 25 or 27?
27 is what I've got in,
The 25 on the question one.
and the,
On the scorecard, it's 27.
let me see where that's.
It's 25 on this.
Article question.
Right, and article request coming in.
This is what I've said before, the forms come in, they might change, I'm not gonna go rewrite someone's forms, so, but,
Yeah, the quote is for 25.
One more.
yeah, I think we.
Very good.
Right there.
Right,
I just stress it, so I need to
Yeah,
keep it.
no, I do
Do
too.
you want a motion or not?
No, you said 25, right?
Yeah.
That's what the quote is for, so.
I didn't know if there was for cushion at 27 on the.
Just in case by the time we get to it.
yeah, and this is a quote from December, so I had put the extra $2,000 in there, cause I just don't wanna see the thing fall apart, cause of. When they give a quote that's like a few bucks short of. It's $50 short of 25K, so,
All right,
if there's any,
I amend my own motion then.
withdraw your motion.
I'll withdraw the motion, make a new motion to endorse Article 25 for the sum of $27,000.
Right, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Brian, so now we're to the water department one, and I'm not sure if we'll get through this one tonight or not, cause I think one of the questions is gonna be kind of cost split, but.
Yeah, so it just says water department exterior, but the article itself is DPW. DPW garage.
Yeah, the article request came from DPW. And it's there.
But it just says water department.
Yeah, I've always called that building the what, because they're the main they're using most of that building, and I have one of the days, so I've always called that the water department.
Okay, on
building.
page,
But it's the old DPW building with the run roof. So, we're looking to, I have some pictures of some of the fellas, I think you guys did a second one up there, so you're pretty much.
Yeah.
Caught up to speed.
Yeah, there's been a lot of work done on this building over the years. They put a new roof on last year, it was like 75, 77 grand.
Yeah.
So this is insulation and siding that goes up on the outside of the cinder block area.
mhm.
Basically finish the work that's been done already in the building. And it's gonna insulate the workspace in the winter time, maybe some of it in the summertime as well. So on top of the money that's already been invested in the building, it's an additional cost. To basically finish the bottom of it.
It's a comfort thing, all right, because it gets either too cold or too hot.
Too cold or
It's
too
gonna be a
hot.
savings thing as well, because you're gonna heat and cool more efficiently, so.
Yes.
You know,
Replacing the windows and doors and things of that, and siding the block area. There's like two areas, the first floor being just all block, that's hollow cement block.
Mhm.
And, we're gonna go around the whole outside of that with an insulated plywood sheathing, and then reside that over that with vinyl siding. And then obviously replace some of the windows, I got some huge windows in there that are just single pane, and they're just, what's 1920 technology there, so we're gonna frame them down and put double insulated panels that are energy efficient and code compliant, and replace the doors for the same reason, and insulate with a continuous envelope around the whole outside, and make the building more efficient.
Right, does National Grid offer, rebates to municipalities, or is that just resident and commercial?
That's a good question. I
This
don't
is
know.
like right up there, for.
I don't know.
That's a good,
Yeah.
we could ask the, energy committee to.
Or you could just call National Grid.
Yeah, yeah, I know
I mean, they'll come out and do an audit and,
Yeah.
tell you what to do. So my question was, there were ventilation concerns last year. So is this, you make this building more tight, are you gonna increase the issue?
It's, yeah, that's, the ventilation, situation was the roofing part of it.
Okay,
And we're gonna open up the soffits just like they are and revent them,
okay,
and then, that's gonna basically stay the same.
okay,
We're kind of like, we'll be, insulating that from the roof line down. That's what the block situation, if you take a ride up there, you'd be able to see what I'm talking about. And, it would just be the cement, block area that we would be, applying this system to.
I'm just, I know that was a concern. And, in terms of indoor air quality, so if we're doing all this work on it, it just seems like if that remains, that should be addressed.
Yeah, I think, most of it was, just up in the upper portion where the gym is.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that don't know that up in that area, there's a gymnasium upstairs there. And, that was where the air quality issues were coming from.
Okay.
And, we had the state actually come out and do some air quality tests, and, they were fine with just opening the windows up there and just getting some more water in there, but the windows that are there, we tried to open them, the sash are breaking and, the whole thing's falling apart, so. They just, they need to be replaced, and screens and everything else put in, and we can keep those open during the seasons that allow.
Yeah, especially the window replacement, if we can get rebates for that,
Yeah,
if they do municipalities.
I'll make a comment just for full transparency. When we discussed this as a FinCom earlier, the biggest debate point that we talked about was we're investing in this site. While we may sell that property in the building page in the future, and is this a good use of money? And then we kind of all concluded it toward the end that because that's so far away, and this is kind of more, kind of an immediate need, that we said, okay, let's support it. It was that was just FYI.
Pretty much the same as page school, we know we're gonna have upgrades on a regular basis over the next 10 years there too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we try and keep minimum of what is required, but
Yeah.
you don't want to deteriorate while it's still occupied.
Yeah.
basically after this last work, is there anything else? left to
There's
do
not
with
much
this?
else you can do unless we start attacking the inside, and that's a major, I don't think we'll ever get there, to tell you the truth. You know, I think after this, I think everybody's gonna be satisfied, because, you know, 90% of the work, the people that are in that building aren't working in there throughout the day. It's just a place to, you know, if I have special projects, I'm working in one of the bays, but I'm mostly out in the field, and so is the water department. The water department is in there to do their, continuing ed in their areas, and it gets uncomfortable in there during the summer. Like you said, it's either too hot or too cold, and I think we'll address that by putting that insulated envelope around the outside.
So why can't they do their continuing ed at the water?
That's not for me to call, right? I didn't ask for that.
So-
You know, but,
So it sounds like a special project workshop for you and,
yeah, and to make it more comfortable for
yeah.
everybody else. I mean, I think the building on the outside is getting deteriorated, the blocks and so forth, and we'll have to fix some of those masonry issues. And I think if we cover the building, if we're gonna keep the building, we're heating it,
Hmm.
and, you know, we're still heating it even though it's not occupied all the time. So I think that'll help out with the building's efficiency.
And Butch was saying that he stores a lot of trailers up there.
That part we probably won't be,
Right. But,
yeah,
but the whole building is.
yeah, it's, yeah, I
So
mean,
It's
this,
got a longer lifetime than what
Mhm.
we might have thought it had.
yeah.
So the question, who pays
Right.
what's,
Yeah. And that was a question that I had back there as well. Yeah, I don't have an answer for that yet.
What was it? I'm sorry.
How would the cost be proposed to be allocated between town and water, so what?
That's a whole different,
Yeah, because this doesn't reflect your labor, right? So the cost, the true cost to do this is much higher than this.
yeah, I mean, I would have help with that subcontractor,
Yeah,
his
so that
labor,
would be covered by this.
yeah, that's coming.
But I think, part of the point, that he's making is that if the same scope was outsourced, the true cost would be significantly higher than.
Yes.
Supposed, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's part of the kind of indirect cost that the water department, typically would pay for their operating expenses, but this is a special project.
Correct.
So how, have we had this situation before where it wasn't an operating budget issue?
Well, I mean, it came up last year with a proposal that didn't ultimately end up getting funded.
Yeah.
Didn't make it to town meeting, so, but we were kind of struggling with that same question of what's an appropriate cost allocation. And, with all that's been going on, all the articles and budget, we haven't had even a single meeting on this with Mark. So I don't know, you know, I don't wanna put you on the spot here in a public meeting as to how that might split up, but that's something that we would have to look at is, kind of what's driving the need. Which department would accrue the benefit in what proportion? And if it was the proposed proportion of water, we would need to bring that to the water commission for them to see if it's a project they want us to sponsor financially in part, because I don't know if that conversation has been had. I haven't had that conversation with her.
I talked to Mark a little bit, but, you know, I'm not sure, I don't know how that equation works. On who pays for what, and, you know, how you decide who's benefiting more for the building, because, I mean, the DPW is involved in that part as well. I'm involved in it, and so is the water fund. So it's a building that's shared. I don't know how we figure out what their percentage is.
Okay. It seems important for that to be part of the discussion on this article, because it would be difficult to pass this at town meeting and then try to, you know, work out an agreement with the water
Okay.
department. I mean, what do you think, Angus?
Oh, I totally agree. It would need to be part of the motion where the money's coming from.
So should we, you didn't vote on this, right?
No.
I wonder if we should delay this until the water department has articles here and we can discuss it
Okay.
then, what do you think?
Makes sense.
I think that makes a lot of sense, and if there's more, I mean, you know, the FinCom members, some of them have been out for it. Others may not have, but may want to. I know, you know, Brian, especially if it's within his regular work schedule, will make himself available, but he's around a lot. I do not wanna speak for your time, Brian.
No, yeah, I'll make
But
myself.
he will make himself available, so if there's others who want a walkthrough, I know he'd be happy to do that, and,
Yep.
Brian and I, we toured the page school at the same time, and I just walked over there, so. Figured it was easy to see at that point.
So you are replacing windows too?
Yeah,
It's a very interesting building. If you haven't been through it, I definitely recommend it.
yeah.
They can afford it.
There's a lot.
It's so ugly, it's kind of cute. Well, it's got the round roof. You don't see that every day.
And, the water commission is now, I was at their meeting earlier today, and they're now in a mode of, meeting every 2 weeks to work on budget. So they meet again 2 weeks from today, so I think if we can, you and I can work on kind of what might be a logical way, to split the cost, and then that would need to be brought to them and see if that's something they would get behind. And if not, I think it would come back to this, this board and committee to say if it was, if the general fund was paying whatever share.
Page school windows.
Did we have that?
I don't think that's.
I don't think we had that
Oh,
on.
sorry.
Yeah, because we wanted Jonathan here
Oh,
for
that's
that, yeah. No, I think it's just the culvert conditions assessment, I think is the only article remaining.
Okay.
And that's one that I wrote that article, so.
Okay,
Thank you,
Thanks,
Brian.
Brian.
thank you guys.
Thanks, Brian.
Yeah, okay, take care.
So the conditions assessment, so it's been on my kind of work with since 2018 to get to a better mapping of the town's stormwater infrastructure. A lot of towns and the town I work up for up north had its whole stormwater infrastructure was mapped to like engineering quality, where it had like all the pipe sizes, construction, materials, date of construction, the pipe invert elevations, and I mean, it had all of the detail right from the GIS. Here in West Newbury, we have very crude mapping of our stormwater infrastructure. So it's been on my kind of to-do list since 2018, partly because that's a requirement of our MS4 permit with the feds, the municipal separate storm sewer system, MS4. But we're regulated by the EPA for our stormwater management, and every year the requirements get progressively more. And having good quality mapping of your system is very important. That's not something that West Newbury had really done at all over the years. I'll give you like an example up by the school, Farm Lane, it's Chestnut Hill and things. So there's neighborhoods in that area, and I think others in town where the roads were built before any stormwater system, before any catch basins were there. And so the way it was described to me back when I was new here and working with Gary Bill was he was like, oh, well, there'd be a ponding area, so we drop a catch basin in and put a length of pipe. Like it was really done kind of in-house and it was utilitarian, and I think it was reasonably effective. But there was no documentation, there was no engineering, there were certainly no as-built plans on the back end in terms of what was built, what the pipe sizing was, what the lengths were. So back in 2018, that was the first year of the current MS4 permit. And I was, I started July 2nd, and our annual report for the EPA was due the end of September. And let me see if I can pull up. One of the requirements that year is we had to produce a map of all of our stormwater outfalls. And okay, yeah. And so let me pull up that map to kind of illustrate where we are and where we start. So this is a map we worked with MVPC, and this was really done entirely by institutional memory of really Gary Bill. And so this map, and there is nothing underlying this map. There's no, like, you can't click it and get the pipe sizes. It's a very crude map. It's basically, you know, there's no dimensions. This is what exists as of today. In the town stormwater infrastructure. And these green triangles are indicating the outfalls into quote the waters of the US, which is what's regulated with the MS4 permit, which is the Merrimack River and all tributaries to it. So it's been on my list since 2018 to improve the town's mapping of its stormwater infrastructure, because it's really very, very poor. So since that time, we have made incremental improvements, particularly in the River Road area, because that was part of the scope of the MVP grant that we got in FY24. And there's been some kind of spot improvements, but basically, we're not really any better off today than we were. Last spring, the Ipswich River Watershed Association got a grant from Mass DER, the Division of Ecological Restoration, to map or not to map, to assess a certain number of culverts within the Parker River watershed. So they reached out to us. It was in the second half of the fiscal year. It was probably March of last year, and they said, "Oh, we've got this funding. We have this consultant, Horsley Witten, who we had also been working with over the years on different stormwater projects, and they can assess." I think it was 50 culverts in West Newbury at no cost, because we, Ipswich River Watershed Association, got the grant. So we said, that's great. So we met with them a number of times with our kind of core stormwater team, which was myself, Butch, Paul Savigny, Christine Wallace, our former project manager. That was kind of, and at that point, the conservation position vacated somewhere during that. But we had a number of meetings with them. They assessed a number of culverts townwide and produced a report. I didn't include it in this packet because it's like a pretty lengthy report, but I provided the select board at one point when we got it. But they evaluated both the ecological kind of condition of the culvert, which is to say, like, can amphibians and fish kind of get from here to there? And how important or unimportant is that based on the type of habitat or the type of stream? And also they assessed it based on like construction condition. Is it deteriorated? What's the construction material and so forth? So this was like found services. It kind of dropped into our lap. We took advantage of it. We moved pretty quickly to get Horsley Witten the data they needed to do this work for the 50 culverts. But there's a whole lot of other culverts in town. So over the summer, it was actually early fall, we had a remote meeting with Horsley Witten and, you know, Butch and Paul, and by that point, Dan, our new conservation agent, had started. So we met with Horsley Witten. We said, this is great, but it wasn't integrated into our GIS. So this fall, we worked with MVPC to get their data linked with our GIS. And now if you go to the GIS and you click on it's actually like data instead of just a drawing. So we have made improvements. And so we said, you know, this is really nice work. What would it cost the rest of the culverts? And that's the proposal you have in front of you. So this is something that would basically produce the same type of work product that we have for the other culverts for the whole town. And so there's not a, you know, you mentioned earlier tonight in a different article about urgency. I will be honest, this isn't like hugely urgent. It's more of like building that data so that in the future you have a solid, you know, map and descriptive map of your stormwater infrastructure. It's just culverts. It's not pipes. It's not catch basins. Our stormwater mapping is still very poor compared to some other towns. But I think it would be helpful, because one thing that we've tried to do, you know, since I've been here a bit, but we haven't made, you know, we haven't really done it yet. So a couple of years ago, the Coffin Street culverts came up, big ticket item. We ended up getting it done for a fraction of what we thought it was going to cost. There was a time we thought it was going to be a $500,000 project. Ended up kind of coming in at something like 25% of that. But that project, I remember when it came before the board and the FinCom, everyone was like, geez, this is a big ticket item. And these are just, that was just 2 culverts on Coffin Street. we got a lot of culverts in town. So which of those are we going to need to replace and when? I would love to get to where those are into our capital program, so when they come up, and whether that's in 2 to 4 years, or in 5 to 10 years, or in 15 years, that's not a big surprise to the policymakers at that time. So my kind of longer term ambition is to get to where the capital program has all of those as like future needs. So I think it's a great project. The proposal we have, I was in touch with the vendor and I said, if we do go forward with this, it would be based on time and materials. It certainly would not be a lump sum contract. It may take them much less time than they've put here in the budget, and that's all we would pay them for. So this is not a contract. This is their first proposal. And it's also something we could tackle piecemeal. So if there was support to do, let's say, see how far we can get, 15,000, that would be fine. If the direction is let's hold off until next year, that would be fine too. This is not what I'm gonna go to the mat over, but I do think I just wanted to preface by, there is kind of a longer term plan behind this. And if I showed you, if I thought ahead, I would have pulled up the GIS up in Hampton, Maine, where I used to work, because it's incredible. Like you can click and it pulls up. They even like have photographs from inside the catch basins of like the condition, like right in their GIS. It's a very nice system. We don't have anything like that. They also had a full-time GIS IT guy, so we had the bandwidth to do that stuff. But so that's kind of the bigger picture, is to just build out a more robust and reliable mapping of our stormwater infrastructure, so that we can be more proactive on future replacements instead of waiting for something to fail.
Did we add this to the work plan? Or was it?
Well, it's been part of my work plan since 2018.
Yeah.
It's on that list. It's not, I consider it baseline, because to me, it's like,
Okay.
it's something a town should do. But before I got here, no one was talking like that.
So in terms of staff resources, I mean, it's primarily consultants.
Primarily consultant, yeah, it'd be Paul and Butch are the ones who are kind of identifying where, and they have, by the way, the number of approximately 70, that didn't come out of thin air. That's based on a map that Butch and Paul have actually marked up of where all these culverts are. So it would be minimal staff impact, and then once we got the data, we ship it off to MVPC and get it built into the GIS.
So is this all of the culverts, or are these all the culverts, above a certain size? Or?
I believe it's all the culverts.
Okay.
Yeah. That was the direction.
Any thoughts from?
Is there a grant available to do this, like?
Possibly. I will say that the Mass DER wouldn't be they are only focused on the ecological aspect of the culverts. They're not so much on the infrastructure side. They're really looking at culverts that have an important role for the ecology of an area, for like fish and amphibian passage. But there may be other grants, like in the DEP area, or there may be. Yeah, I haven't looked into that specifically.
Where does this sit on the, like, screaming problem issue with our culverts in town, other than what I heard about is?
I don't think I think it's a proactive planning thing for like the long term. It's not because anything that's of any kind of concern is already something Butch is already thinking about. So no, it's not a front burner thing.
But it would be nice to build it into the capital plan so that we know what the needs are, especially in areas that are impacted by climate change,
Yeah, I think it would. I mean, I think there was a discussion earlier today at the Water Commission about the scope, and this will come before you in a month or so, but the proposal, they've got to do a water system master plan. And there was some discussion back and forth among the commissioners as to whether they should limit that to what they're projecting in the next 10 years. As opposed to like trying to get everything. And I think there's two schools of thought on that. I think, one member was saying, let's focus on like. Kind of more ahead of us in terms of like the next 10 years instead of like everything. But the other point is, it's important for the ratepayers to know like. The long term, what's ahead of you. So, and I said, I'm dealing with the same thing with Page School, because we have all these projects that I've now put into the capital program that. We don't really have any expectation we're ever gonna actually do. But I think it's important that they're in there, because if we do stay in there for 50 years, we will have to do them. So I think it's similar here, like some of these things. Might not need replacement, during any of our lifetimes. So is it of value to have those on a list somewhere? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Some people would say it is, and some people would say it isn't. If we're looking at things in the next, like 6-year horizon of the capital policy, then I don't think this is gonna find anything that's not already on our radar. It's more just in terms of the longer term, having a better base of data.
Sounds like it should be done, but it's like, the question is when it should be done.
Right, yeah, and I think part of the story I told about this kind of found money or found resource, because the money didn't go through us, it was through Ipswich River Watershed. So it literally fell into our lap. Like last March, we got an email and they're like, oh, and we're like, great, all we had to do was meet them halfway on staff and time to like meet with them and stuff, but we're like, this is great. If it hadn't fallen into our lap, we wouldn't have done it. And if we hadn't done that, we wouldn't be looking at the next phase, because it just, in this context of the things that are front burner. You don't really find time for this stuff, so it was kind of opportunistic. So if we go forward, I think it would be a good thing. If we don't, you're probably not gonna notice it. Unless you're someone who like really wants a good map. I would like a good map, because that's kind of my background, but.
And does the work that Worsley Whitting does, do they also assess whether a culvert can like handle a catastrophic flood, similar to what?
They don't do stormwater modeling, so that's something that isn't done till, that's a higher level of engineering. So like with Coffin Street, that was done.
Yeah.
Because that needed to be done to get through Concom. They have to model the different year storms and size the culvert properly to handle that storm. That's an engineering level of work. This is more of a assessment. Yeah,
Okay.
This money would come out of free cash.
that's the proposal.
I'm gonna say that you're. 40% of the way there already with what we've had done.
Yeah.
You've got a contractor that's capable of doing it. The ball is already kind of rolling. We have the luxury of having the free cash at this point, so I would sort of suggest we might want to consider moving forward with it. I mean, you can postpone anything you want. It's always easy to put stuff off. But you're in a good position with what you've already got started.
Motion to approve Article 34.
Second. All in favor? Today?
No.
Rationale and something.
I could do the rationale for this one.
And Sunset, I think 27 should be fine for that.
Okay, 6/30/27?
Yeah.
Motion to endorse Article 34, sum of $39,000 for assessment of town culverts.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, and I will, to answer your question, I will, look into, or I'll ask the conservation agent to look into whether there's grants, because if we could offset the cost, that certainly would be a plus.
I think like under the MS4 program, there should be something, because this is the first step to,
No, right, yeah,
I mean, if this, when Wesley would know if there are grants when they might be available, they're probably
They would.
getting from other places.
they would,
We backdoor it that way.
yeah, good. Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn? Second. That one's gonna be unanimous.
Yeah, right, the rationale.
I'll write the rest down. Sunset. 7:59 p.m.
So.
No, just make sure that our next meeting is not until March 4th, correct?
Correct, yeah, next Tuesday is the school budget hearing, but that's not a posted meeting, so March 4th is the next meeting.
Okay.
So will the CPC article be ready for that?
So they could be, we have that penciled in for the 19th, partly because I wanted to make sure the CPA or CPC committee had the correct numbers. But I was actually going over this with Rebecca today, we're looking ahead at the schedule, and if you're comfortable with those going forward March 4th, they could. We have them penciled in for the 19th, just for that reason that it's after the CPA meeting, the CPC meeting.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, how much different is it gonna be?
Oh, I don't think it's,
750 versus 760. Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, I mean, it'd be great to just check it out.
In case Derek gives me a seat,
Yeah,
Derek gives me a cold
yeah.
beer, I can.
You know what, I'll bring them.
Yeah, wait, keep moving.
Just a thought.
And are you guys adjourned as well, or are you?
Just adjourned.
Okay, all right.
See you guys in a couple of weeks.
Thanks a lot, everybody. Thank you.
See some of those.
Yeah, I tell you, the degree of difficulty goes up from here.
Yeah.
See you.
Bye.
Thank you.
So I'm not sure.
So you're gonna be okay to coordinate this rational.
Or